I'm Wild Bill, and I have a Sharpsburg connection to talk about. In July of 2018, and exactly 1 year and 1 day later, in July of 2019, Sharpsburg experienced two very heavy rainfalls and major flooding. There are pictures. I saved some of them from the days, and I dated them so I would know what I was talking about. We had a foot of flood water running down 16th Street. So if you know Sharpsburg, past the Fort Pitt building, past the yeah, and I have a picture of that. It's all under this much of water, and it's all pouring into that um, drainage ditch by the borough building, the administration building. Anyway, during the first one of these massive rainfalls, it was a Friday, and that Friday was a Chaz Smith French Fry Friday. In Sharpsburg, that meant that local 13th Street resident his whole life, Sharpsburg resident, Chaz Smith, a dear and beloved friend of mine, fed the neighborhood. He brought out a fat fryer. He filled it full of lard. He bought I don't know how many thousands of potatoes, and he had like one of these presses. You go like this, and it cuts it into French fries. And he did that all afternoon, and made French fries. And he brought out ketchup and mustard and pickle relish and stuff. And other neighbors brought cookies and sandwiches, and it became a community event. It became an impromptu block party. You don't need to organize these things if the people are living in community already. Somebody, a good soul, like Chaz Smith, will say, you know what? I see a lot of hungry kids. I'm going to feed them today. And doggone if he wasn't right, because, pardon me for saying it this way, teenagers started showing up from all over, people I didn't know. But doggone, the word got around, hey, old guy feeding people, go get something. And so they showed up. Some homeless people showed up. And everybody was fed, and everybody was allowed into this community that Chaz set up with all these neighbors of his around here. Shannon Riegert was there. And she's another member of the community that brought stuff and contributed, and they set up a little, like a gazebo, closed off 13th Street. It was a lovely. Well, they didn't close off 13th Street. They left room for cars, but it was pretty much, a block party, 13th Street block party, and it rained like the wrath of God. We got, I don't know what it is, 5 inches of rain in 2 hours. It was awful. And here we were in the middle of a party, summer party, July. And so we all squeezed under the little gazebo, one of those like rental ones, with four aluminum poles and looks like an umbrella inside with a roof over it. There wasn't room. We did it anyway. And there was all this food. So why let it go to waste? So people kept coming in out of the rain the whole afternoon. It was pouring down. Horrible, awful rain, let me tell you. None of us wanted to be out in it. But there were still people coming in out of it to get a little free food. Here from Sharpsburg resident Chaz Smith, who's just a good guy. I'm glad I know him, because he gives me a role model so that I can try to be a good guy too. Anyway, it turned into quite a community event. And eventually, we were singing Kumbaya, sitting in the midst of this horrible Noah-esque storm, and less put out by the storm, though it was terrible. And there was 6 inches of water running down the street, and we're up on the sidewalk now. But anyway, it was terrible outside of that little gazebo. But inside that little gazebo was a bunch of nice people living in community and willing to accept others that were coming in out of the storm. That's the good part of America, so you know. Chaz did it the next year, too. And the next year, 2019, the rain held off till Saturday. And it was a beautiful day, Friday, and we had a wonderful time. And then Saturday, it rained like the wrath of God again. And there's pictures to prove it, where it's, cars are up to their underbellies all over the street or where they're parked. up above and water roaring down the street. And if you tried to cross it, you'd probably get carried away. But there we were in community. And you know, that storm wasn't such a big thing. Wait, it was a big thing. None of us wanted to go home and find out that our basements were flooded, which is what happened, of course, to many people. However, for that afternoon, we were all together. We were all part of one community. Nobody was saying that you're a different color, or you come from a different country, or I don't like your accent, or you're not wealthy enough for me, or you're too poor for me, or you're an addict. Nobody was saying any of that. We were saying, thank you, God, for this chance to gather in community during this awful event. This was more important than that. Okay, that's all I had to say today. Oh, one last thing, I guess. Thank you, Chaz Smith, for being alive. If not for your various kindnesses, I would not be as good a person as I am, and I still have hope to get more like you as I age.